Let me listen to that back. It's Mike and Mo and we just reading, baby. Ain't no interpretations, we just keep it even, baby. Yeah, give us a listen if you feeling lazy, or if you ain't been in the mood for communing lately. Yeah, we gon' keep it 100 as we going through these words. Our creator wouldn't want us to treat him like a curve, brushed off like a street sweeper. Kagan Park in Miami, without him we get heat fever. Goal is precision. We need a ski teacher, connection more reliable than 96 or 3 beepers coming to you live. Call us a heat seeker, Jeepers creepers couldn't be more curious than these peepers. We only reading a book, come take a listen to us. We only reading a book, creator gave it to us. We only reading a book, no we don't come in bitter. If you ever want to see us live, we know where to look. We only reading a book, come take a listen to us. We only reading a book, creator gave it to us. We only reading a book, no we don't come in bitter. If you ever want to see us live, we know where to look.
They're definitely gonna be disbelievers, like, of course, you know.
They were told.
The God that I believe in, so called, to be forcing me to not believe, and this, you know.
Jasmine's hearing all of this.
I haven't gotten to forever, but you making me disbelieve for a period in time kind of puts. If I don't believe, not necessarily, but it puts the people that care about me in a state of fear, like you was talking about earlier. Like, I'm looking at you knowing you about to go to hell because you disbelieve, and I'm told not to. It's
to help you.
Being a care person. Yeah, I'm told not to help you, but I care about you. I want to so bad, but it's like Allah done said 4 times that he might be the one that's making you disbelieve, and I
wish,
feel like that sucks.
I wish there was a way to interpret this, because they're very direct about certain things, like the submission thing, right? They talk directly when I was reading Surah Al-Naya. They said directly how to handle that, how to handle a disrespectful woman. They say directly how to handle that, but they're not telling us directly how to vet a believer that's not a believer, that's not actually a believer, or if he's intentionally doing this, or is he genuinely believes this, and he's not purposefully put on earth to necessarily do that. And I want to make it very clear, we don't know definitively if his disbelief, did he say directly that he created the disbelievers? I think that is definitely how we're interpreting it. Just for the sake of
not necessarily, because we did talk about it. It could be at any point in time, because it wasn't definitive. So it could be that at some point he made them disbelievers or used their disbelief to increase it, but it doesn't say that he created them for disbelief.
Okay, that's very. But he's definitely encouraging it, like he said. He's definitely leading them down that path. So.
Like it's fun.
Does it? Does it sound like that to me?
It's not. It sounds like he's having fun.
He hears this. I don't hear that, but definitely. That's how he interprets it. He interprets it.
You know, when I hear mocking, I just automatically think trolls, and I think trolls have fun.
Of course. There's no shame in that. Okay, so they kindled the fire, but when it was illuminated around them, Allah took away their light and left them in darkness.
Yeah, you did a good job with that.
So that. They will not return. They will not return, bro. It's definitive now, bro. It's definitive. It's confirmed. They will never return. Man, bro. What this?
Kapow.
It's definitive now. We can't. He said it. The words have said it. So now that we're trying to help them, there's no point because they're not coming back. God damn. Okay. Bro, they kind of hit us, man. You feel different, don't you?
I'm hit, bro. That hit me. That really sucks.
Mm-hmm.
That really sucks. And they will not return to the right way.
I'm almost about to cry, bro. Obviously, I'm a man and I maintain composure. But
I mean,
if a woman was reading this, she'd be crying.
It'd be like that sometimes. So sometimes you gotta drop a tear. Okay.
I'm not, bro. I'm not. Because I want to make sure that no emotions are affecting what we're reading, because if I'm sad, they're gonna interpret it as reformity, and now I'm bias. That's okay. It's confirmed now. We got to kind of accept it.
It's like I love everybody, bro.
Yeah.
I can't not love people. Sometimes I don't like people. Sometimes, you know, I get in my feelings because other people be on some crazy stuff. But I can't not say that I love people. And to hear that
people are just destined for hell now, it
yeah,
sounds like.
that hurts.
Let's move on before bias starts to come in. I really hope I stay conscious throughout this. I really hope so.
For sure.
Only bias thing I'm going to say is it sucks that we can't help these people. That's the only definitive thing I'm going to say, to where not hating Islam, not criticizing Islam, or not loving Islam. This is just a neutral. I just don't like the fact that I can't help these people.
أو كصيب من السماء فيه ظلمات ورعد وبرق يجعلون أصابعهم في.
What it sounds like to me is he's now creating an example out of it.
Yeah.
So let's hear it. Let's hear the interpretation. Like I said, always up front.
آذانهم من الصواعق حذر الموت والله محيط بالكافرين.
So like meaning what?
It's a metaphor.
It's definitely a metaphor, but I think what he's saying is pretty clear, but obviously
Or it is like a rainstorm from the sky, within which is darkness, thunder, and lightning. They put their fingers in their ears against the thunderclaps in dread of death. But Allah is encompassing of the disbelievers.
Yeah, okay.
So you can help them. You can help them
I
then.
think what's
He's
happening,
forgiving about them.
I think what's happening is it's making another allegory like this first one. This is just a break, saying that they won't return to the right path. So these two are both allegories about the disbeliever and how they gonna live their life, and that is saying that they're not going to return to the right path.
Sounds like he's making an example.
I think the example, you know, is their lifestyle, them having to walk around in darkness or just constantly believing the lie that they, you know, learn. But it ends in a period, deaf, dumb, and blind, so they will not return to the right path.
Very straightforward.
Because it was a hyphen on the last one.
Alright.
So that's an allegory.
Okay.
And then it says deaf, dumb, and blind to explain that. And then it says they won't return to the right path. And then it goes on to say again, or another example, another allegory is like a rain.
So okay, so it's not the only path for them then, is what you're saying. That allegory means that there's multiple paths they can take, and that's one of them. Or is that not?
It's basically saying like Allah can blind you in a few different ways, like that. He can either use the candle allegory where you can't see nothing around you, or he gonna use the rainstorm allegory where it's a lot of chaos going on around you.
But the right path thing, I'm still drawing that. That's definitive. There's no allegory there. That's just,
Yeah, it don't seem like it.
Okay.
It don't seem like there's any allegory there.
From what we see.
Well,
Okay.
maybe
Of course.
because kindle the fire, like you was walking around with
the fire.
like it was a candle or a lamp. So if you was to put it in the context of somebody's walking around with a candle or a lamp, and you turn out that candle or lamp, they're not gonna be able to find what path they're on.
So they're
Because
they're instilled in darkness, but they still said they do not return to the right path. What's not
I'm saying like that could be an allegory for not being able to see like what you're walking on because you don't have the fire anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could actually mean like being a Muslim and believing in Allah. So it could be an allegory. It could
not be okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It seemed jarring in the beginning, but like after
So for the sake of not being biased, I'm gonna assume that the right path is still an allegory, and that he could just still be blind. No, it's very definitive. I'd say they will not return. Like you don't use words that strongly without a reason. Because they didn't say they wandered.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. But for the sake of being neutral, you could say, just for the picture that you painted. Because I was thinking about it, like, if you walking on the sidewalk with a lamp in your hand, because we in 1700s, and somebody turned that lamp off, you're not going to be able to see the sidewalk anymore. So
but that doesn't necessarily mean you couldn't recover. You couldn't find like another, or that doesn't necessarily mean you can't recover for the sake of being neutral. No,
you're right. That's
okay. That's also a possibility.
You're right. That's right.
All right. So. Try not to get attached, but when you hear words like "they will not,"
I feel
you think it's definitive.
That's
it's very, very like he is trying to say this. It's not but because it's very metaphorical, we can't say for the sake of neutrality that he might just be lost, but it seems like he's not. It seems like he's not going to return. It seems that way. Or they will never return for the sake of neutrality. Maybe I'm getting too attached.
You kind of got me with that one.
So maybe I'm a little attached. So we're gonna keep moving on.
And I felt like I had it, but you kind of got me with that one. Bro.
Maybe.
I'm gonna keep could be an allegory in the notes.
Or so there could be two scenarios. So it says or. So there's one scenario where he can never recover. Is what I'm hearing. When he says or, that's mainly there's two options. One of them can't return, but then there's one that can return. They put their fingers in their ears, because so they're denying it, but that doesn't necessarily mean they can't come back from it. They're denying it actively, in dread of death. So they're afraid of death now. So how Allah punishes them is they make them afraid of death.
That's why I emphasize chaos going around.
Okay.
And instead of them being
so it's just a lot of noise.
Yeah. So they're scared. They think they're gonna die.
Allah is encompassing, but Allah is encompassing of this. What does that mean? So encompassing means like it didn't mean he's surrounding them with disbelievers too, but he could probably still come back. He says they wouldn't. If this is the case, so it sounds like if they're surrounded with disbelievers, that means they could still come back. Is that what it's saying? But if you're the one guiding those disbelievers, you're not coming back.
He says he is encompassing of the disbelievers, so that means he is around the disbelievers, whether it be a single disbeliever or a group of disbelievers. He around all of them.
It's hard to be neutral, right, man? I'm really trying right now.
That's really hard for me to understand, though. Why he's encompassing?
For the sake of neutrality, we're not going to put a definitive answer on that. But from what I believe,
talking about darkness being around them and a rainstorm from the sky, and they're scared, so they put their fingers in their ears. So is Allah that darkness, that thunderstorm that's around them?
I don't think Allah. I think it's the. So I think. Because we're still on the topic of disbelieving, I think the disbelief is the darkness, not necessarily Allah Himself. From what I'm hearing, or is that not the case? Maybe it is actually Allah who's the darkness.
I see what you're saying. I'm trying to understand this last sentence. I do see what you're saying, and I get that for sure. But I'm trying to understand this last verse. I don't get.
I'm going to put this down.
Encompassing definitely means like surrounding. I'm around you. Something of that sort. But they're in darkness. It's a rainstorm from the sky with thunder and lightning. So when I think from the Christian perspective, if God is encompassing you, there's comfort. So why would Allah be encompassing?
Oh, you think like Allah being encompassing is uncomfortable to them?
Yeah.
And when it kind of makes sense from their perspective because they're disbelievers. The mention of God, but that's the thing. I'm like that though. That's the problem. Remember when I said earlier that when I hear dua when my grandpa's doing it, it's uncomfortable for me sometimes. Could I be one of those people now? Could I be one of those disbelievers? And can I come back from that? Oh, shame. Because that does sound kind of separate to me.
Why is Allah's presence
uncomfortable to them?
Fear, yeah.
But when he's supposed to be... No, but the thing is, remember how he said he made them blind? Yeah. So because they're blind, Allah is going to be uncomfortable to them because they're blind, kind of thing. Or does that not make sense to you?
I mean, it's a spiritual blindness. So, but I get that because they wouldn't understand like the spiritual things. They would probably think it's something crazy going on. I can understand that.
But I don't know. This one gives me hope. It's like, okay, so there are some people that can't be saved. That makes sense. Okay, they're a disbeliever, but they're not going to be saved at all. Which obviously I can accept. You can't save everybody. It makes sense, right?
Does this say that they can be saved though?
It doesn't necessarily.
This is just another.
But it's another. Do you think it's another way of saying the first one?
Yeah, it's another way of saying how the people are going to be lost during their life.
Yeah, but it isn't necessarily. So it says or, right? That or is very important.
Yeah,
there are going to be people that are not going to be saved at all. But then there are going to be other people that are uncomfortable from Allah, which they are making that uncomfortableness for them. So these people are just they're the reason why they're so now that they're disbelievers, the presence of Allah makes them uncomfortable now. Which definitely makes sense, because you definitely see people like that. And me being one of those people at times, where it's like, okay, when I was younger, when I hear the dua, it kind of irritates me a little bit. But at the same time, I love my religion. It's something that I really enjoy, having this belief system. Not necessarily, but then at the same time, I fear punishment. So then it's like, okay, should I just, is it something that I can't recover from yet?
Yeah.
Which is why I still have hope. Which is, obviously I love myself, so I want to make sure, I want to see if there's still hope. But like I said, if hell's where you go, hell's where you go. What happened?
If hell's where you go, hell's where you go?
Because from what it sounds like.
Oh.
It sounds like if it's
predestination.
Predestination, because they were built that way.
I hate that.
And I think he's definitely confirming that he made people that are destined to go to hell. But you can't root those people out necessarily. He doesn't give you a vetting process.
Yeah.
Which is what's confusing, and which is why I'm not saying God is definitely evil, because there could be a reason for that. These people were probably born with impure hearts naturally, or it manifested in some way, and then God, he says he amplifies it. He doesn't necessarily put it there. So there's a chance that it could have been there, but then it just spiraled, but then there was no, and now it's just, they spiraled to the point of no recovery. Let's see the next line. Maybe he's saying, because that does kind of give me hope, because it's like, or.
I'm not tracking that in this one. It just sounds like, or is.
Or they're destined to be blind.
For the allegory. It's just showing another way of them walking in spiritual darkness, not really understanding what the truth is. The truth being the Quran. Okay.
Because it does make sense. What you're saying does make sense. Like, I want to make sure I'm neutral here, right?
Because I feel like if the or was for they will not return to the right path, it would be they will not return to the right path, or they might find it some way down the line.
So you think because they're so closely put together that there might be hope, but so they're destined to doom forever because they said or because it does that. I do.
The or is not for that. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying the or is not for they will not return to the right path. They will not return to the right path. It's just a standalone. The or is for the allegory before, when it ends with death coming blind. They're gonna walk around because without the light, because Allah extinguished the candle. Or it's gonna be like a rainstorm from the sky.
So it's the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I think.
This is, so for the sake of neutrality, that does make sense to me. But I'm not going to put a definitive answer, because you do raise the question of, okay, yes, this might be a possibility, but he could still be kind of saved if you can get him out of that blindness.
Yeah.
So so the second or is he is blind, but he doesn't definitively say if you can bring him out of that blindness. So.
I do think
but judging by how definitive he was before, it makes sense to say this is just another fate for him. It does make sense for him to say that.
I think it's important to note the order that the sentences are written in, for sure, because that makes a difference where you put things in the sentence. So it could be that, I could be reading it wrong grammatically, but that's just what I see.
I really hope there's someone who's like a grammar expert to interpret this.
Maybe one day.
This is definitely something to where the neutrality is really important here. here, because you could definitely make a definitive decision based off that. You know what I mean? From definitively from what we're reading and how the pattern, how Allah acts, because you said He's actively mocking them, right?
Yeah.
He's saying like ha ha ha, right?
Yeah.
And almost encourage, and not only that, He encourages them to be disbelievers. But then we still have to. But then I don't know if there's. He says, do not try to save them. So we do believe definitively that there are people that are destined to go to hell, essentially. There are definitely people like that, despite there being another option. There are definitely people that will never, ever go to heaven, which is what he's saying, from what I hear. Definitely that sounds like a very extreme statement, but this is what I hear. Go on.
I just thought I saw something walk past on there. That made me
It might be
my train of thought.
Okay.
No, on the camera. Not that low. We agreed that
there are two, and there are nuance, and that there are definitively there are two different options, right? But it doesn't necessarily say that the second option is they're going to be blind forever, but they're going to be blind, right? And Allah is actively encouraging them to be blind.
Yeah, we got the first option saying blind forever. Second,
from what we're reading, we're not trying to hate at all, but from what we're reading, it definitely is pointing. It's pointing in that direction, but he definitely might come back.
يكاد البرق يخطف أبصارهم كلما أضاء لهم مشوا فيه وإذا أظلم عليهم قاموا ولو شاء الله لذهب بسمعهم وأبصارهم إن الله على كل شيء قدير.
The lightning almost snatches away their sight. Every time it lights the way for them, they walk therein. But when darkness comes over them, they stand still. And if Allah had willed, He would have taken away their hearing and their sight. Indeed, Allah is over all things competent.
Okay. So, this kind of confirms what we were saying before. The lightning takes away everything. And, holy shit.
So,
I'm so, I
got you. I'm going to start. So, I think this kind of brings light to the fact that they might not be blind forever.
Okay.
It says the lightning almost snatches away their sight.
He's very intentional.
Then every time it lights the way for them. So sometimes it lights the way. They walk therein. So whenever they can see it.
It confirms what I was saying before, that yes, there is a potential.
There's potential.
There are some people that just cannot be saved, okay, that we can accept that. The people who light the torch, meaning, so are they talking about the teachers? Because you know how people say that teachers light the torch, right? They say that, hey, they're carrying the torch and they're having people follow them. So it could be that they're saying, hey, if you're leading these people, which is then again is up our interpretation. If you're leading these people, then hey, they could be. The people who are leading can't be saved.
Can I set up another interpretation?
Let's see.
Fire is destructive. Yes. Can we say that the people with the torch and the torch allegory are people who engage in or start belief systems that are contrary to the Muslim belief system?
For the sake of neutrality, I don't, just because of lighting a fire amidst destruction doesn't necessarily, because the purpose of a torch, right, the only reason it exists is for light in some way, so you can see something. But like you said before, you can throw a torch into a house and light it on fire, but it doesn't necessarily they're causing destruction intensely. So from what I'm interpreting,
it also doesn't say torch, it just says kindle the fire. So we don't know what kind it is. Yeah.
So it's a fire of some kind, yes.
It could be a candle, could be a lamp, could be a campfire, it could be a torch, could be a Molotov bomb, but in any capacity it's some kind of fire.
Fire is associated with negativity, and because they're using lightning, we could assume that it's also negative because they're associating it with each other, is what I'm hearing. So
we just having fun with it, just interpreting. But what we reading out from it, literally, one group of people, it seems like that light the torches, the deaf, dumb, and blind, they will never return to the path because Allah extinguished the torches. But the ones who are lost in the storm, they have remnants of the path of the truth, and they can follow Allah. And it ends with Allah is over all things competent. So apparently
competently,
they're finding some competency
exactly.
in this
So
light.
when they are competent enough, they will make it out of the storm. This is probably a very weird metaphor, but like when you're a plane, right, in your destination, and you're in a storm, right? Obviously, planes didn't exist. We'll consider like a plane or a ship. Yes, you're navigating through the storm, but if you are competent enough, you can make it through, which is probably what you're saying. Hey, which is kind of emotional manipulation, which I don't like, is saying, hey, if you're smart, you'll go down the path of Allah. Is kind of what I hear from this. Obviously, this is probably
big deception, for real, because Allah is making all this happen. But to his credit, it may not be forever. People may not get lost in it and come back to the truth. But I think it really sucks, though, that he will put this deception out there for people to fall into it.